Good evening. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting for September 20th. First item is roll call, please.
Chairman Human,
Here.
Vice Chair Kolschel, here. Commissioner Morgan,
Here.
Commissioner Quinn,
Here.
Commissioner Velasquez,
Here.
Commissioner Barrichello,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. So before this meeting, we had a study session and reviewed the items that are on here. We have a lot of speaker cards for item number 6. So that will be heard as a action item for tonight after we go through the consent agenda. The first next order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, but I just want to make people aware of that. Commissioner Morgan, you're going to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So on item number 2, I do have 2 speaker cards. And what I'm going to do is let the speakers talk on that item. And then if there's questions from staff or questions from the commission, if we need to go further and possibly pull it for action, we'll do that. But so I believe I only have 2 speaker cards for this. And first one is Bruce. I believe it's Wallach.
Yep, thank you.
If you want to come up, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes, sir, to talk on this item.
Thank you. My name is Bruce Wallach. I'm at 396 West Desert Broom Drive. I'm in Avalon, just west of Calypso for the Chandler Farms. Just here to let you know that we appreciate the builders' willingness to listen to our feedback at the neighborhood meetings that they held, and especially the lowering up from the 4-story height down to 3 stories. With that being said, we do have a potential for guessing around another 1,000 residents moving in just north of another 1,000 resident apartment of Live Avenida. And there is that walking path that you guys were talking about in the study session earlier that is part Live Avenida, part Portello, part Avalon. They're all separately maintained and paid for maintenance, playground equipment, vandalism. We pay for all that. So with that being said, it had the vision in the maybe late 90s, early 2000s to be a big giant retail district with restaurants and whatnot, correct? You were part of that original plan. None of that's come to fruition. And now we have apartments, single family homes, single family homes, single family homes, and now the applicant's second massive apartment. So we don't have any shared, and I am also on the HOA board for Avalon. I'm not here representing them, just throwing that out there. Like I'm starting to see all the expenses that we have to pay for, whether it's maintenance on our lawns or, $5,000 a month, or playground equipment that needs to be replaced, $4,000, new tarps, $10,000. And if all these residents have access to our amenities that we pay for and maintain, then it should be equal share, or we should just put it back to this is a pretty unique neighborhood. There's nothing else like this that I've I don't know, I was talking to Elisa about this earlier. Um, it's a very weird situation. So the builder using the walkway paths as amenity parks and recreation, but every area is either Portello, Avalon, or Live Avenida's private property with no shared monetary dues. I'd also like to add that Live Avenida's apartments have key fobs, so they can trespass, technically it's trespassing, right, on our HOA properties or common areas, but we can't use any of their amenities like EV chargers, pools, dog park, etc. So we're requesting, and I've gathered about 45 signatures from Avalon. We're requesting that the wall be closed off with a permanent solution. And however that process looks, I'm not opposed to the Chandler Farms being built because I understand this is a city council action from like 2007 that created that walking path. So we're just wanted to get that on record and appreciate everybody and thank you for all your
Appreciate-
help.
Any comments to the speaker? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker I have is Robert, is it Sty or? If you can state your name and address for the record, it'd be great, and I'll have 3 minutes.
Robert Stye, 3120 South Dakota Place. I live in Hamilton Heights. Been a resident there for approximately 10 years. I'm a former president of the HOA. I've also served on the General Plan Citizen Advisory Committee here for the city of Chandler and the Sustainability Committee back in 2009. I do oppose the development. For a couple of reasons. First, the density of the housing. The current plan shows about 23 units per acre. That's about 20% higher than what Live Avienda is. They're about 20 units per acre. Other averages are right around that 18 to 20. So I think the density is a little too high. The area there currently has 2 major multifamily complexes, the Live Avienda and the Camden Chandler Apartments. So we're already seeing major density and more traffic. I know the traffic studies do show that there's minimal impacts north and south on Arizona Avenue and east and west on Queen Creek. From a through point, that's okay. But when you start making left-hand turns from Live Avienda or the Chandler Farms property, making that left so you can go north on Arizona Avenue is going to become very congested, especially with Hamilton Heights School. So I request additional traffic studies are done to make sure that we don't have any incidents or at least minimize the flow of traffic. Hamilton Heights, the main entrances and exits are on Queen Creek Road. So the potential backup on traffic could impact our entrance and exit into Hamilton Heights. So I am opposed, although I know we live in a world where you don't always get what you want, and I understand that a lot of times things go through. So I'm also making a few requests. And first of all, I do want to thank Mill Creek Residential, Brendan Ray. They've been very, very good about reaching out to the community at Hamilton Heights and listening to our concerns. So I thank them for that. From a traffic impact, if we could put a dedicated right-hand turn lane going into the new apartment complex, that may alleviate some traffic backups along Queen Creek Road. Also, from a construction standpoint, my understanding is that the construction will take about 2 years. When I'm not standing up here, I'm the vice president of a division for a national engineering firm. I understand construction. I understand the impacts, especially when it comes to being a good neighbor. I would ask that the general contractor, Mill Creek Residential, at least do some proactive planning with the HOA, so we can understand utility tie-ins when traffic lanes are being closed down, things that just make our lives a little bit easier. So again, I thank you for your time. Thank you for consideration.
Any question to the speaker? Jeff?
One question, it might not be for the speaker, but I think there was a deceleration lane on Queen Creek Road in, correct?
And I'll ask staff on that one. That's great. So, okay. Any other questions?
All right,
Thank you. Appreciate it. To staff, do you want to address a couple of things? One, the decel lane, let's start with that. Is there a decel lane on this property on Queen Creek? Or Alyssa wants to address that.
Chair Human, there is continuous decel lanes along both Queen Creek as well as Arizona Avenue that runs from the first proposed new driveway entrance into the property close to that west property line, it's a continuous decel line.
Okay.
lane.
Okay, so that is addressed. In terms of the traffic, in terms of the traffic studies, commercial would generate more than 50% more than this is going to generate. But have we looked at in terms of with our traffic staff in terms of access and egress and ingress for this property?
Yes, they have reviewed not only the traffic analysis, but also the proposal as far as those proposed locations of those driveways, and they have approved as submitted.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that would, then the third thing is, and I guess I'm going to ask the applicant this question. So thank you, Alyssa. Mr. Ray, can you just address a couple things? One was the coordination with the neighborhood. I think it's a great idea. You know, we do that with other things where there's a phone number somebody can call, at least know that, you know, especially when the road's getting cut up or lanes getting, you know, go away for a couple months, whatever. Can you address that?
Yeah, Chair, members of the commission, Brendan Ray, 1850 North Central, here on behalf of Mill Creek Residential. Yes, as we were visiting in the back with Mr. Stye, he did raise that comment to us, and I was visiting with a representative of Mill Creek, and it is not a problem for us to coordinate with the Hamilton Heights HOA, let them know construction activities, timing, and when things are going to take place.
Okay. And could you also just quickly, and this one maybe have to go to council, the path. My understanding that this path was designed and approved by council back in 07, one of the many iterations of the thing. Can you address that at all? I mean,
Yeah, through the chair, members of the commission, as you were briefed in your study session, there's a long history of the path. From our perspective, we understand that pedestrian connection is always important throughout developments, even regardless of what the end use might be. Obviously, this path has been something that has been imposed, I would guess, by stipulation, other developments as they have come online, including Live Avenida. And so the rest of this path, and if I needed to pull up a slide, I could do that, but the path is running along our western side. It's not gated as it runs through our property. I believe, as was discussed during the study session, the gates exist kind of on Live Avenida's property, both on what I'll call the north, east, and kind of southwest as you look at it. And as staff prepared, and let me see if I can get a slide up so people kind of know where I'm talking about. Bear with me 1 minute.
and while you're looking for that, is your entranceway different than Alavida's or whatever it's called? Because they do have a gate. They have a gate there. I guess that's one of the concerns. So is yours different than theirs?
Chair, members of the commission, hopefully you can
We can see it.
see
Yeah,
the
we got
slide.
it. Yep.
So what you will see is that the green represents the path, but if I can make it go, this is, and that's a really thin red line. I'll try to make it so everyone can see it. That is, the path continues north up to Queen Creek Road, but there is no gate that would prevent any access through there. As you get to the south, the only gate that is on that south side is on the Live side. We do not have any gates. Now there is obviously we have a perimeter fence alongside our community, but through this point we are not blocking off access. So the only potential restrictions on access are associated with Live Avenida's, what already exists there today.
Okay, thank you. Any question, Commissioner Lopez?
So just to clarify, so I mean, you'll put, like you say, you're going to put a fence or property line gate along the two property. Yep, exactly. Right there. Okay, there's the dog park. So where that walkway from the circle going, what would be northeast, I guess, you're not intending just to have that as an open access?
Through the chair, Commissioner Lopez, yes, it is intended to be open access as it relates to our side.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Brennan. To staff, Kevin, we seem to have some conflicting things. I don't know if the city attorney can answer or not, but this path that's been done in part of code or part of the original PAD and PDPs and everything else, would it be better for us if we move this forward to let council, between now and council, you guys figure out whether that is required based on that ordinance or could be changed? You know, I don't want to make a bunch of motions tonight and take the path out, take the path in, or whatever. If there was ordinances set up back when that path was going to exist.
Chairman, commissioners, it's a good question, and we've last couple weeks I've honestly been starting to really wrestle with if the final leg of it on the subject site is not completed. Um, the commission's action tonight and then ultimately council's action will be only upon the subject property. That action doesn't have the authority to require to go on to private property and do other things. So if council elects to not continue that path and not move it forward, there's still that leg that's on Live Avenida, Avenida's property that we'll need to deal with. Simply making it go away, I don't know. Since council started with Dobson Crossing and then Avalon and kind of kept going forward, we have approved zoning cases with an attached preliminary development plan (PDP) that showed an open kind of public access way to keep getting to the corner. And I recognize today that we're dealing with two small commercial buildings, and that's all of this path network is to get to like 10,000 square feet of retail. But there are approved development plans that show this. That I haven't really got it totally formulated in my head of how do we make that go away, since it was a public process and ultimately a public body that adopted that plan. Does it have to go back through that process if it's to pull it all out and revert it back to just solely private property? So for tonight's purpose, make the recommendation as commission sees fit on the leg that is on the subject site's property. Whatever happens with that, if council ultimately approves it by making it go away, we'll have to figure out how we work with the neighborhoods and even Live to fix it and rectify that.
Yeah.
But I don't have an answer at the moment.
Okay. And the reason I'm bringing that up, I don't want to sit here and delay and postpone this thing for a month so that we figure out that little thing. But I think between now and council, you guys can figure out legalities. And like you said, the path that's already there is not going away. It's there, unless the HOAs want to decide on their own. But if the ordinance was that we're going to have this walking path, so and I'll leave it up to commission as well. But I think we're probably better off if we decide to approve this item is to let you guys can work with before it gets to council, figure it out, and then go from there.
Chairman, probably the best path forward tonight is to, as a body, decide whether your recommendation is to complete the final leg of this kind of, I don't want to say regional, but kind of sort of regional neighborhood path, or because the anticipation of what that path was leading to has changed so drastically, it's no longer needed. Therefore, don't complete it. That's probably the best path forward. Make the recommendation one way or the other. We've got some mechanics behind the scenes to figure out if we're not going to complete it, and we'll work that afterwards.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on this, Stan? Okay. To the audience, I was like, we're going to do one motion on the consent items, which is item number 2, Chandler Farms, item number 3, which is the office rezoning, the use permit for the distillery, the use permit for Good Time Charlie's. And like I said, we'll do a full hearing on highway cell tower. So does anybody want to make any other comments on any of those items in the audience? Okay, seeing none, what's the commission's pleasure? Commissioner Lopez.
I move the approval of the consent items as mentioned. I don't know, what's the exclusionary item?
I'm sorry?
What's the number of the exclusionary? I don't have the agenda. Second.
It's
So
items,
consent items.
items 1 through 5 and item 7.
1 through 5, item 7 for approval for the consent agenda.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Morgan.
Chairman, really quick, we did hand out an addendum memo tonight that had some tweaks to conditions. So as long as the motion kind of reflects that these
To the motion maker, do you,
I agree to add the addendum consent item, or the, what are they called?
the additional stipulations?
Stipulation, additional stipulations. For the-
Is the second okay with that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Any further comments from commission? Okay, all those in favor of the consent agenda say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Okay. Thank you to people for that item. And like I said, for those items, we're recommending by the city council. And on item number 2, the Chandler Farms, as you heard, I think we'll let staff work a little bit with council to figure out the payoff situation and legalities and all that kind of stuff. So, okay. Item number 6. Huh? Okay, I don't want to- okay, okay. Then you're up. Item number 6.
I am up. All right, can you guys see that? Yep, perfect. All right, good evening, Planning and Zoning Commission. This is a presentation on PLH 23-0020. It's a highway cell tower. The request before you is for a use permit. Yep, it's a use permit for a wireless communication facility. A little bit of background on the property. So the property is owned PAD for a golf course subdivision with single family housing. Zoning code requires a use permit for a wireless facility that is not co-located on an existing pole and which creates a new pole holding a wireless facility. Oh, let me go back actually. So just for a kind of broader view, so you have in the middle, circled in red, that is where the proposed cell tower is. It's going to be in the middle of the golf course, immediately adjacent to a existing like maintenance building. So, and then here's a little bit more of a zoomed in image. Once again, circled in red is the proposed cell tower. And then to the left of that, that kind of dark black outline is the maintenance yard. And then just west of that or left of that is the existing single family residential. So historically, the city of Chandler has a precedence of requiring a 160-foot setback from residential properties. So just here, so you can see, on the west side, there is a proposed setback of 160 feet. On the south, there's a proposed setback of about 313 feet. And on the east, there's a setback of 239 feet. And on the north, there's approximately 800 feet, which is the clubhouse is the closest point of contact to the north. Here's a proposal before you. It is a new verticality. It is a stealth mono pine, and it would be 65 feet to the top of the antenna. The city of Chandler, we always measure the height to the top of the antenna. So, and then the height to the top of the leaf or fronds and lightning rod would be about 69 feet. The center of the antenna, which is the first carrier at the very top, would be Verizon Wireless. They would be at 61 feet, and then the center for the future antenna number 2 would be at 51, and the center of the future antenna number 3 would be at about 41 feet. Next, I'm going to show some photo simulations. I just kind of showed the site plan so you guys can kind of get an idea of where these views are taken from, just for context. So this first view is approximately 700 feet northeast of the proposed tower. So it's almost kind of the view from the golf course, from the clubhouse. And then this is another view east of the proposed tower. And of course, it's the one circled in red. Just for context, the smaller image is kind of showing how it looks currently, and the larger image is showing what it would look like with the mono pine. And then here's another view. It's about southwest of the proposed site. Once again, it's that little circled area above that roof line. And lastly, here's another photo simulation northwest of the proposed tower. A little bit of backstory, little city review guidelines. So the code, per code, facilities must be stealth, and in this situation, it is a stealth facility. It is a monopine, so it meets code requirements there. Next one, it's a historic precedence. It's not code, but it's a precedence that we have within the city of Chandler, is that there's a minimum separation of 160 feet from residential properties to any proposed cell sites. So for this one, to the closest property, it is at 160 feet, and that is a property located to the west of the subject site. And then lastly, another historic precedence, it's not code, but we do ask this when an application does come in, that the maximum height of the facility be 65 feet. The proposal is at 65 feet. And just for a little sorry, just for a little bit of background, the Federal Communication Commission, or the FCC, does supersede what the city can review. So it does prohibit cities from denying the wireless communication facility due to concerns regarding health effects of wireless radio frequency signal. Neighborhood outreach. The request was noticed in accordance with zoning code. 2 neighborhood meetings were held. One was held in person on July 26th with 104 people in attendance, and one on July 27th, which was virtual, with 29 people in attendance. And notification was posted on Nextdoor and on site. And as of today, staff is aware of support and opposition to the request. Some of the neighborhood concerns, kind of the key ones, were really health concerns and the cancer concerns, possibility for health issues and possibility for cancer concerns. And then lastly was also property values as well, was another concern from residents. Neighborhood input. So here we have a little map kind of showing in the blue, we show the neighbors that were in opposition, and in the yellow, we show the neighbors that were in support. Originally, there was 28 verified homeowners in opposition to the request and 94 verified homeowners in support. Currently, so since right in front of you, you guys have an addendum memo with more emails of residents in support and opposition to the request. So as of today, what we have is we have 29 verified homeowners in opposition and 98 verified homeowners in support. Staff recommendation, the proposal is consistent with the general plan. It is compatible with surrounding land uses. It is consistent with precedents, and planning staff recommends approval with conditions. And this ends staff presentation and is available for questions.
Questions to staff. Ben, couple of things. Can you throw the one slide that I think showed the distances?
Mhm. There we
I
go.
guess that one there. The 160 feet to the west is that with the club? It's behind the clubhouse though, so it's the you have the monopine, then the clubhouse, or not the club, maintenance yard. Sorry, maintenance
Correct.
yard. And okay, so that does block it. The other question I had is the trees. You show some existing trees, pretty mature. A lot of times when we've had these cell towers, we try to add extra trees if necessary. Is there a place to put some additional screenings, whether it's on the other side of the maintenance yard or whatever, to help screen this at all?
Yeah, so there are currently, let me see if I can go to the perspective views. Nope, oh, too far. So there currently are trees on site. So there's a good bunch of them that are on site right now that would assist in screening that are pretty mature in size. If commission would like additional trees, we can make that a condition of approval if needed.
So on this view that you're showing, if let's say we put additional trees between where you took the picture to there, is that on the golf course? Would it interfere? Is there room to put other trees to help screen it a little bit?
Room with regards to just
Well, because there's a golf course there, so I mean, you obviously can't put it in the middle of the green. So
yeah, good question. I believe we can probably work with the applicant and see if that is a possibility. I do not see an issue why that would not be possible,
Okay.
but we can confirm that.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Okay, is the applicant here?
Yes, the applicant is here.
Okay. The applicant would like to come up and make a quick presentation. And then we've got a whole bunch of speaker cards. If you could come up and state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Hello, my name is Michael Powers. I represent the applicant Atlas Tower 1 LLC, 3002 Bluff Street, Boulder, Colorado. But I'm not the only person that's here. There's also 3 other professionals representing Verizon. There's Michael Gallagher, uh, Tracy Klein, and Stephen Kennedy, and they both also, or they all, have specialties in different things that will allow the audience and the commission to have specific questions answered with the best person for the question.
Okay.
So I'll just do a quick filling in the gap. Staff presentation was fantastic. We've been working on this with staff for quite a while, and it took some work to be able to provide you an application that meets your code and your consistent precedent for other structures like this. I wanted to note that Atlas Tower would be the owner and operator and maintainer of this facility, and Verizon and perhaps other carriers that might install equipment would be subtenants to them. So when it comes to issues going into the future, if it is approved and built, Atlas Tower would generally be your number one go-to to make sure that this facility is run professionally and clean, and any issues that come up would be addressed directly to us. But obviously, the nature of this business is there is this other company, Verizon, currently that's a partner in this enterprise. Another comment I wanted to make quickly, just to reiterate, your planning staff mentioned that there is a preemption issue with Congress's delegation to FCC to do basically totally control the safety of the manufacture, the distribution, the installation, and operation of wireless equipment, and therefore any questions about or any concerns, sorry, any decision made based on any conversation about that would be precluded, and probably wouldn't would sort of muddy the record as we move forward, possibly to any appeal if that happened. But I expect that conversation to happen, and we do have some professionals, specifically Stephen Kennedy's has a short presentation on safety that perhaps the commission or the audience might be interested in. I'll stop there, but I just want to highlight again, we are presenting a very, what I would call, clean application. We worked really hard to meet your code. This is absolutely needed. This technology, as everyone knows, is essential for all sorts of things. I could talk on and on about safety and first responders, but you're a very sophisticated body, and I'm sure you know that's an issue. But I just wanted to let you know that we worked hard to get this to this point, and I hope you approve it. It's good for the community, and it's a legal use in this area, and it's going to be a benefit. Thank you.
Okay, hold on. Any
sorry.
questions of the applicant? I do have 2 quick questions.
Yes, sir.
What's the closest other tower? I know that south part of Chandler has some very big issues. Years ago, our police department had fits down there. What's the closest tower to where this one is for you guys? Ben, maybe can you answer that?
Thank you.
Not necessarily answer it, but I do have an exhibit showing other facilities. Bear with me for just a minute. All right, so we do show an exhibit here. So the one here circled in red, that is a proposed facility, and the other closest facility, I haven't measured it, but we have a couple. We have this one right over here, just north of Riggs Road.
Riggs. Okay.
So,
Okay. So not super close, and depends on who the carrier is as well. One more question for the applicant. I mentioned trees and maybe adding some additional trees. Is that a big issue for you guys if you needed to add a few more pine trees?
Not for us. I'd be happy to do any additional
Okay.
vegetation that
Okay.
that council.
So I know
commission
you brought experts, but we're going to let the audience talk. And if we need to bring you back up to answer some questions, we'll do that.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you
Great.
so
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate it.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the audience and I've got a lot of speaker cards and I'll read your name off. I hope I don't butcher it too bad. And if you'd like to come up and speak, great. If you don't, all you have to do is say whether you're, I have it checked off whether you're in support of the item and stuff. So let's start this off. Michael Reed says in support. Do you wish to speak? If you want to speak, come on up. State your name and address for the record. Just for the audience, if we have a lot of people who want to speak, that's fine. We'll be here as long as it takes, but try not to repeat the same thing over and over again too and stuff. So if you can state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Michael Reed, 1909 East Glen Eagle Drive. That's from that address is all the way south in Chandler. So right along Hunt Highway. And up until about 3 years ago, we were with Verizon actually for over 20 years. We used a mobile hotspot because we moved around a bit. And up until about 3 years ago, it was fine, but in recent years, it just started deteriorating and it's just gotten worse and worse. We finally changed from them to another provider when they advertised the 5G. That worked for a little bit, but with I was on the phone with a technician there, and at the end of that conversation, he said, "I recommend you return it because that wasn't working." And currently, we're getting by with hardwired internet in our Wi-Fi router in the house. We piggyback the cell phone on the Wi-Fi, which works pretty good, except almost every day there's some dropped call. Sunday, my wife's phone wouldn't work. She used mine. On Monday, she was elsewhere in Chandler, tried calling in. It picked up, but she couldn't hear me, and I could go on. But I did have a requirement to call 911 about 3 months ago. My wife fell in the garage and actually broke her leg. It took 3 tries, so I got to 911. The call dropped, and I think they called me back, as I recall, about 3 months ago. But it took 3 tries to complete the communication, and it's just not going to get any better with people going to streaming and all the things we hear about. So this is very much needed infrastructure improvement.
Okay.
And those that do have good cell phone service, they have it because somebody else has a tower. And for us, all the way down along Hunt Highway, the towers just aren't close enough anymore.
Okay.
So,
thank you very much.
Right.
Appreciate it. Next person I have is Tony Leonard is in favor. Do you want to speak? Okay, that's fine. But you're in support. Thank you very much. Okay, next person I have Patricia KICS. Do you want to come up and speak? No, I'm not. And you're in opposition, correct? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, next one, Glenda Jacobson, it looks like, or Jacob, and I'd like to come up and state your name and address for the record. Just for everybody in the audience, you'll have 3 minutes to talk. There's a green light when it starts, a yellow light gives you 30 seconds, and a red light when to stop, so.
I'm Glenda Jacobson. I live at 1569 East Spyglass Drive. I sent an email when there was debate about the cell tower starting, and we've been in Sunbird about 9.5 years. Most of our kids and family live outside in states all over the U.S. Most of the time, our calls are dropped or we have to call back to each other. On July 19th, I had some heart issues in the middle of the night. And so I went to call 911. I had to call 3 times before I got to them. and the ambulance came and I was hospitalized. So it was very scary, and I really kind of had health concerns about that. So I just think it's needed, very much needed, for connection and for the safety of our community.
Okay, thank you. I hope you're feeling better.
I had a stint. I'm good.
Great, awesome. Awesome, that's the most important thing. Next card I have is, it looks like Bob, and it's either Lama or Laima. Again, I apologize. Would you like to speak, or you're in? Okay, you're in support though, right? Thank you. Okay, Julia Ponce. Would you like to speak, or you're in support? Would you like to speak? No, okay, that's fine, thank you. Okay, Carol, it looks like DELK. Okay, would you like to speak, or you're in support though? Great, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Scott Storr. Okay, thank you very much. You said needed to improve connectivity in the neighborhood, specifically emergency calls, and I've heard that now from several people. I think that's super important. Mary Starr. Okay, you're in support too, and I'm hoping to improve connectivity and use Verizon wireless router for internet. Okay. Dean Tucker. You're in support. You don't wish to speak. That's fine. Okay. Thank you. Lisa, I believe it's Onyx. Okay, thank you very much. Strongly in favor for safety of the residents. Okay. Lorette Doyle. Okay, thank you. Please allow the cell tower to be placed in Sunbird. I need better self-service in my area. Okay. What did we do 20 years ago? We didn't have cell phones. We had better landlines, I'll tell you that. So that's for sure. Let's see, Gudrun Huffman. Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Linda Knudsen. Okay, thank you very much. It's good for the community. Need better cell service. Okay. Patrick Leach. Okay, you wish to speak? Okay, thank you very much. Marjorie Leach. I take it you're in support? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, keep that family happy. I just want to make sure. If she's welcome to come on up. I think you might be in trouble if you make her come up though, so. Cindy Wilson, you're in support? Okay. I need better cell service, thank you. Bruce Wilson. Okay, don't want to talk, okay. I totally support tower installation at Sunbird, thank you. Dave White. Support, do you wish to talk?
I'll just repeat what somebody already said.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Lack of reliable cell service by Hunt Highway. Okay. Gary Popska? Okay. And you're in support. Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Suzanne Popka, I presume you're in support? Okay. All right. Just checking and make sure family harmony. Don't want to get in trouble tonight. Okay. My wife watches these, so I get in trouble. I get scrutinized when I get home. Lauren Wallace, you in support? You want to speak? Okay, great. Need better service, especially for 911. Barb Wallace. Okay. Okay. Want better service. Okay. Moving right. Renee Seaman. You like to talk? Come on up. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, Renee Seaman, 1631 East Bella Reeve Court in Chandler. I had an incident happen like 3 weeks ago to me on a walk at about 7:30 in the morning, and our HOA isn't open, and I didn't think it was worthy of calling 911, but we've had break-ins, and I have a friend that their house was broke into, and I stayed there 5 hours with the cops on August 14th. So this happened 2 or 3 weeks after that, let's say. And it's on Torrey Pines in an area where there's smaller, the villas. And I saw a door ripped off a house, and it was kind of just hanging there. And I'm like, okay, well, see something, say something. So I called the guard shack, which opens, I think, at 6. The guy kept repeatedly saying, "You're breaking up. I can't hear you. You're breaking up." And that's at the almost the front of it. So I'm real concerned about the safety. I have to be on Wi-Fi calling at home, and even then, I do lose some calls, mainly to my mom. So it could be her phone, but Wi-Fi calling is necessary. The other thing that I guess I find to be, incredible out here, where I'm seeing over 15 Chandler schools have cell phones right on the premises or towers. So with that many towers I'm not understanding. I guess that's why FCC said there were no safety reasons to be concerned about. I also think the new casino, which is not far from us, is going to bring a lot more traffic on Hunt Highway and have effect for the people farther in the back. And so I think that's about it. And as the Verizon and the other services actually add internet, is that going to be pulling from cell services? I don't know how that works, but Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T all have internet services offered through their cell phones, and I would be concerned that that would have additional pull. And we have an aging population. 4 of our neighbors do not have cell phones. When those houses turn over, guaranteed they're going to be younger people, and there will be 2 or 3 cell phones in those houses. So thank you.
Okay. And thank you for see something and do something, because it's really important. So, okay. Gary Hall. He's all anxious to get up here and talk. So you can state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Gary Hall, 6361 South Sawgrass Drive. Very briefly, it's just very rare that there's a project in which there's a win-win-win for everybody concerned. The community, the Sunbird community, it's going to enhance our community. The senior citizens that live there, they're going to feel a little bit more secure in their ability to communicate. And then the golf course, there will be revenue generated, which is going to help with the future of the golf course. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Deb Rollins, I think. Did I get that right? Rollines, maybe? Maybe not her anymore? Okay. She's in support of the project. Ken, I think it's Cross.
Yes.
You in support? You would like to speak? Okay, I'm in favor of the proposed cell tower. It'll be positive for the community. Okay, thank you very much. Ed Leonard. Okay. I will. It says I'm in favor of the cell tower project and would like to know if the city denies this proposed cell tower, what action would be taken to enhance our cellular service in Sunbird? Okay, thanks, Ed. And the last speaker card right now I have is Michael VIALL. Okay. All right. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to talk on this item?
I don't care to talk, but my sister and I both came.
Could you come on up? I can't, it's hard. If you just want to come up and, just because it's hard to hear from back there for the record.
Sorry.
If you can state your name and address, that'd be great too, please.
Okay, I'm Joan Hartzell. I live at 1570 East Firestone Drive in Sunbird. My sister and I didn't fill out cards. I just wanted to make sure you knew we were here as support.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out tonight. Anybody else who'd like to speak on this item? Okay. Does the applicant want to come up and address anything? I think there wasn't a lot of stuff, so, okay. I have somebody in the back room with their hand up. If you'd like to come on up. And... Okay, thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to close the floor then. Commissioner Lopez.
So just some of the questions that the applicant or the residents had, if the applicant come up, one of the engineers, they do talk about more, bandwidth, travel along the roadways. On cellular towers, I don't know how that works, different from other aspects of internet receptions, that kind of stuff. So as more residents were to you either do convert to streaming or the residents bring in more cell tower or cell usage, how does that change with the capacity of the tower? And would the residents see an immediate improvement to their communications?
Okay, Stephen Kennedy, 11142 Northwest 165th Drive, Suite 343 in Surprise. Radio frequency engineer with 34 years experience. So two things that happen with sites when some complaints about slow throughput and then about the inability to connect and have a good call. It's coverage versus capacity. So this site that's to the northwest on this current map, to the northwest of where the red circle is, that's the site that's over capacity right now. Capacity is a way to look at, let's say you're drinking from a water hose in your backyard. You're one person, you're getting 100% of capacity. Another person comes along, hey, I want to get a drink too. Now you get 50% of the capacity. You add two more users, everybody has 25% of capacity. And just it grows exponentially. So capacity is the ability to process that data traffic or those calls and throughput. By allowing the proposed to be built, you're going to increase the capacity in the area because you're adding more equipment to be able to process that traffic from either people south close to Hunt Highway or people up north, and use, as well as offload traffic that currently the site to the northwest is over capacity. There's not very much bandwidth per user. So you'll increase coverage within the area, more in building service. So if 911 calls occur inside, they can actually happen and it's not having to try back 3 times, as well as the ability to process where there's streaming data or somebody wants home-based internet. The frequencies that and the spectrum that this site's going to have when it comes on air, talking with the Verizon RF engineer, it's substantial. We're probably talking 300 megahertz of bandwidth, which is quite large compared to when I started in the business and there was 10 megahertz of bandwidth way back when you put your phone in the trunk of a car. So this will definitely help by adding additional radio capacity. Does that answer your question, sir?
I do believe so. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. My only I have a couple comments. You know, cell towers have always been a controversial kind of thing, but we all live in, you know, and unfortunately they use the word die by not having a proper cell phone calling 911. We actually had problems with our police department back in the day down south. So, you know, the only comment I'd like to do, if whoever wants to make a motion, I'd like to see some additional trees put in as a stipulation, work with staff, figure that out. But other than I'm supportive of this project, I think it's needed. The more bandwidth and the internet's so important to everybody, and safety is probably the number one issue when people can't call out, and you know, an extra minute or two makes a big difference in terms of being able to take care of somebody. So anyway, do I have any motion from the commission?
I move to approve use permit PLH 230020 Hunt Highway Cell Tower, subject to the stipulation by staff, and if the applicant can work with staff to add trees to help screen.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second, Commissioner. Any other comments from anybody? Kyle? Nope. I saw you hit that button. I thought you made it. So. Okay.
Just a comment, because I know there was one or two people, or maybe even we got some emails to in opposition to this. I do want to, as often sometimes these discussions happen, that even if you're those that were opposed that may not spoken up, we do hear that still. Again, we hear both sides, and again, this is going to go before the council and mayor, and they do listen to both sides. So don't feel that if you win or lose that again you're not being heard. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that.
And we are a recommending body to
We're
the
a recommending
council,
body.
so they make the final decision. But okay, any other comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, staff, any comments tonight?
Just really quickly, Chair, I know it's been a long day, and I wanted to kind of just thank the commission. It's kind of like, for those of us that have served on an HOA board, it's like the definition of a thankless job. And quite often, as a PZ board member, you're not going to get a lot of thanks. So staff really did appreciate the dialogue we had today. It was extremely helpful. We got some great ideas, great insight, feedback. So I just wanted to say thank you for getting here at 2 p.m. and hanging with us all the way through having an action item tonight. So thank you.
Well, the person you really have to thank is Julie for making sure they had the people had snacks and stuff too. So thank you, Julie, for making sure that happened and stuff. So any other comments from anybody? Okay, with that, we are adjourned.